You know that person who goes
I'm
completely
fine.
quiet when something hurts them, the one who says I'm fine, but clearly isn't. Yeah, most people misunderstand that person completely. They think it's attitude, distance, or even lack of care. But what's actually happening is way deeper than that. Because silence, in moments like that, isn't a choice in the way people assume. It's not calculated, it's not a strategy, and it's definitely not about pushing people away. In fact, a lot of the time, it's the opposite. It's what happens when someone feels too much and doesn't know how to process it fast enough. So instead of reacting outward, everything turns inward. And from the outside, it just looks like silence. But internally, there's a lot going on. This pattern actually has a name in psychology. It's often linked to something called emotional withdrawal. And it usually develops for a reason, not randomly, not overnight. At some point in life, expressing emotions didn't feel safe, or it didn't lead to understanding. Maybe it was ignored, maybe it was dismissed, or maybe it created more problems instead of solving them. So the brain adapted. It learned that silence was the safer option. Not because it's better, but because it felt less risky. And over time, that response became automatic, something that happens before you even think about it. One of the biggest misunderstandings is this: people think silence means someone doesn't care. But often, it means they care too much, so much that it overwhelms their ability to respond. When they get hurt, something shifts internally. It's subtle, but very real. Their chest tightens, their thoughts slow down, and words suddenly feel hard to reach. Not because they don't have anything to say, but because they don't know how to say it yet. And that's where the nervous system comes in, because this isn't just emotional, it's biological. Most people know about fight or flight, but there's a third response that gets ignored. It's called the freeze response, and it explains a lot of this behavior. When the brain perceives something as overwhelming, it doesn't always react with action. Sometimes it shuts things down, slows everything to protect you. That includes your ability to speak clearly, and even your ability to process emotions in real time. So when someone goes quiet after being hurt, they're not avoiding the situation. They're trying to regulate something intense, something their brain hasn't sorted out yet. There's also something happening in the brain itself, especially in areas related to language. During emotional overwhelm, those areas become less active, which means turning feelings into words literally becomes harder in that moment. So when someone says nothing, it's not always because they don't want to talk. Sometimes they genuinely can't find the words yet, even if they're trying internally. Another layer to this is vulnerability. Opening up requires a sense of emotional safety. And for some people, that safety isn't automatic. It has to be built over time. If they've been hurt before while expressing themselves, their brain remembers that pattern. So instead of opening up again immediately, it holds back as a form of protection. That's why silence can feel safer than speaking, even when they wish they could communicate better. And here's where it gets even more misunderstood. Silence isn't always emptiness. Sometimes it's processing, sometimes it's emotional overload, and sometimes it's self-protection happening in real time. You might also notice that these people replay things later, conversations, moments, what they wish they had said. Because once the intensity passes, their clarity starts to come back. And suddenly, the words are there, just not at the moment they were needed. That delay creates frustration, both for them and for the people around them. But it's not intentional, it's just how their system processes things. Another important piece is emotional numbness. Sometimes, silence isn't just quiet, it's absence. Like everything just goes flat for a while. Not sadness, not anger, just nothing. That's also a protective response, a way to avoid feeling something too intense. Because if the emotion is too overwhelming, the brain reduces it to something manageable. Even if that means feeling disconnected, at least temporarily. Now, here's the part most people never hear. This doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means your brain adapted to something, and it did its job well. The problem isn't the response itself, it's when it starts affecting your relationships. Because other people don't always understand silence. They interpret it through their own perspective. They might see distance, rejection, or indifference, when in reality, it's none of those things. And that creates a disconnect. One person is overwhelmed, the other is confused. So awareness becomes important, not to judge yourself, but to understand yourself. Because once you recognize this pattern, you can start working with it instead of against it. You can give yourself time to process, without feeling like something is wrong. And you can slowly learn to communicate, even if it's not immediate. Even something simple like, "I need a moment to process this," can change everything. It creates space without shutting people out completely, and that's a powerful shift. So let me ask you something honestly. Do you go quiet when something hurts you? Do you struggle to explain what you feel in the moment, even when you care deeply? Do you find the words later, when everything has already passed? If that sounds like you, you're not broken, and you're not cold. You're someone whose mind learned to protect itself, in a way that made sense at the time. And now, you just need to understand it, so you can start using it differently. If this resonated with you, there's a lot more to explore about how your mind works. So make sure you stick around and subscribe, because this is just one piece of a much bigger picture. And if you know someone who goes quiet like this, share this with them. It might help them feel understood. Because sometimes, being understood changes everything.